sorry if this top 20 sucked. It might be the first time. I think we all know it won't be the last time.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Oh, what is up, everybody? I can't even begin to tell you how close this just came to be one of those very rare, I guess there's no box today, kind of Hard Rock Lunchbox days. But nope, here I am. It's Thursday again. It's time again for the Hard Rock Lunchbox. Just afternoon, some afternoon, more than other afternoons. Wait, more afternoon than other time, whatever. So here's the deal. I am really sick. And I'm not sick in the way cool kids get sick, like with colds and flus and stuff like that. I went ahead and got major, super duper food poisoning. Yeah. So, for those of you watching this in a couple weeks in the top 20, you'll see I'll turn sideways. You can see I'm basically not here anymore because I've lost so much weight from all my food poisoning. You know, wouldn't that be great? I mean, like, I feel like if that were actually a thing, I would just, like, go out and get food poisoning. Although I will tell you, there was a moment or two on Tuesday where dying definitely seemed like an option. Man, it has been a rough several days, and I'm going to make it through the show because I'm definitely on the tail end of this. But man, oh man. No, thank you, chat. I did not have the Rona, but that is actually what I want to talk about today for the top 20, which I don't think will be a full top 20 because, honestly, I don't know that I can go 20 minutes just talking without passing out. I mean, maybe I could. I don't know. I don't know what the listeners want. The listeners want me to die on the air? Like, is that what they want? I'll give the people what they want. No, so, okay. So, sorry I'm late. That's why I'm late. I'm pretty sure my illness is going to dominate most of the show because the show is based on kind of like what I'm thinking and feeling and dealing with currently. And when I tell you I am only dealing with food poisoning remnants and ramifications, that is kind of all I'm dealing with. Basically, I got sick Monday night, or that was the food. That's the culprit. And then by Tuesday morning, I was inside out. And I honestly spent all day Tuesday not sure what was happening. Not sure what it was. But yesterday, I was pretty convinced. By yesterday morning, I was pretty convinced it was just food poisoning. But by last night, without question. And certainly today, like, this is it. I mean, this is the worst case of food poisoning I think I've ever had in terms of the amount of time it's lasted. And I don't know if it's a function of just other things or if it was that severe of a Osmosis Jones kind of bug kind of thing. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, so everybody welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox. You know, give yourself a round of applause. Yeah, so I did not get a chance to promote this week's episode of Top 20. I believe it's the one... Nah, I can't remember. I do know it's the one where I started doing a new beginning. So if you want to... And it's not new in the sense that nobody's ever done it before. In fact, most podcasts or video podcasts I've seen do it. The Tom Segura one, the Two Bears one does it. Bacon is My Podcast does it. I know they're talking to a wrestler this week. I started listening. I got about 5 or 6 minutes in on Monday, and then had conference calls the rest of the day, and then decided to die the rest of the day. It's actually still up on my browser, so I got to listen to the rest of it. I have a... See, the thing... Okay, so where I am with wrestling is, like, I liked old school wrestling, like, in old school wrestlers. Like, I think it was Superfly Snuka. I think we played a show that he was at. It was definitely a wrestler, but I think it was him. And he was charging people, I want to say $50 to, man slap them on their chest. And he was getting it, too. And it was like one of the first Revel 9 shows with this new version of the band. And Noodle was basically like, man, this is awesome. But, like, those are the wrestlers that I know. Like Hulk Hogan, like Andre the Giant, stuff like that. I dipped out of wrestling really early on. Mikey seems to be more the more recent wrestlers and stuff like that, and I think he still watches wrestling. I'm pretty sure he does. And I feel like Jimmy never left. Jimmy's been watching wrestling, forever, and has liked all forms of it. Even maybe the Greek, somewhat homosexual one. But I can't say that for sure. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Anyway. So that's what's on this week. Their interview is always really good. I did like the way it started because they weren't letting the guy talk because they kept introducing him as different things, like because he's won a lot of awards and stuff. And I thought that was funny. I enjoyed that very much. But you can catch that on Stranger at TV. Check that out. Also, in other top 20 news, this was kind of funny to me, at least. I don't have a lot of views of the top 20, and that should become that should come as no real surprise to anybody, right? Because most of my car audience are people that listen to the Hard Rock Lunchbox, so they hear it already. I mean, personally for me, I feel like the visual, the way I say things, the anime in which I speak, the animated way in which I speak, I think is interesting enough to watch, but totally understand there's a million things to watch. And honestly, I'd rather you watch stuff that you haven't heard for your own benefit, right? That's got to be interesting. But there are definitely a couple people that check out the top 20, so thank you for that. But what's funny is that I think it was last week's episode where I was making fun of one of my players, one of my Hurricanes. And so I sent it to her mom. I was like, hey, you might like this. And she did. She thought it was funny. And also the girl I was making fun of also watched it and thought it was funny. And apparently started passing it around to the rest of the team. So as far as I'm aware... the entire, or most of the Hurricanes have now seen the top 20, so that's about as viral as I'm going to go. I will tell you, I caught some shade because they were like, you didn't mention us by name, and we want credit for the jokes. And I'm like, first of all, you guys are the joke in it, so I don't know that you want credit for that. And also, they were like, well, we want to be famous, too. And I'm like, if any of us are going to be famous, it's definitely going to be you guys, and I would like to be famous as well, so hope they work on it. Keep in mind, all of them have TikTok followers that just dwarf followers of the top 20, but that's neither here nor there. Thought that was fun. Yeah, we will get to legal weed. I literally have not had a chance to follow. I know it's legal. I know you can have up to 3 ounces, which is way more than the amount of weed I've ever had in my entire life. But yeah, so I do want to talk about my near-death experience this week here. Oh, man. I get lightheaded. I start sweating, and it's bad. I might recommend that you don't watch this episode of Top 20 in the coming weeks. So, basically, it's this. And I haven't really thought this out, and I really am quite fuzzy. I'm actually having a lot of trouble working, because a lot of stuff that I do, I have to keep like variables and stuff in my head, which is not a big deal for anybody that's kind of competent at what I do. But I have been so spacey. I haven't had caffeine since Monday morning. I haven't eaten. But I had a slice of toast this morning. I had some soup yesterday. I had some almond crackers. And I think that's basically it. I am dehydrated as F. I'm doing my best to keep my water down. It's just going right through me. So I don't know what I did. I wouldn't recommend it. But what I was going to talk about is So in this age of Corona and stuff like that, I thought it was interesting because it's the first time, like, I don't get sick all that often. I talk about that a lot. Actually, it's funny because at one point I was sitting there just binging NCIS, which is not really what I wanted to watch, but like a lot of times I'll fall asleep to NCIS because I've seen it. I've seen all of them, so it's easy for me to like nod off because I've already seen it and I don't have to watch it. It's not like it's interesting or anything like that. But I remember thinking while I was sitting there on my like 10th episode of it, maybe like 8th episode, I was like, oh cool, I finally get to lay in bed and watch stuff. But I realized it wasn't exactly what I'd wanted. Like I wanted to binge watch shows that I haven't seen. Like, you know, Mad Men I hear was good, or, you know, I always wanted to watch Weeds or Orange is the New Black, shows like that. But I couldn't because I couldn't stay awake. I kept passing out. So I didn't actually get to binge watch anything. But what I was going to say is that in this new age of Corona and stuff like that, this is the first time I've been sick. Ironically, I did have a cold. I had a cold and a really bad cough on the very last day, the very last show the Robo9 played. That was back in March 15th of 2020. We were doing a cancer benefit. I was singing. I was losing my voice. It was actually cool because Jimmy, who is a vocal teacher, if you don't know that, Jimmy gives voice lessons. He's very good. And has a ton of experience. Basically saved my ass and got me through the show with like 2 seconds of advice. So if you're ever looking to learn how to sing, like seriously, like he's around, he does virtual stuff, and he's really good. And not only is he really good at that particular task of voice lessons, the amount of experience he has in situations from performing himself and from giving lessons is really very useful. Like I couldn't recommend that higher. Anyway, so I was sick then, but there was literally just a cold, and that's been the sickest I've been all throughout Corona, and that was nothing. So so this is it. This is the sickest I've been in years, maybe 5, maybe 10 years. And I was sitting there in bed, like really, like I worked, like I basically just threw my brains out of my system, everything out of my system. Went back to bed and then got up and I worked for like an hour and a half because I absolutely had to do some work. I could barely get through it. And then I went back to bed and just ended up staying there the entire rest of the day. I could not move. I was just completely laid out. And I wasn't sure what it was. I had body aches. I definitely was throwing up. And I had what could be flu-like symptoms, but also it felt like food poisoning. But in the age of Corona, coronavirus and COVID, like I really just didn't know, and I really wasn't sure. And I will tell you that as I was laying there, I was thinking about and I'm somebody that has taken COVID fairly seriously. I mean, there are definitely people who take it more seriously than me. And I understand that, and I understand their reasonings. It is impractical for me in a couple of areas. I mean, I don't go out. I have decided to work in that sort of pod mentality. I see my band, and I see my family, and I see the soccer team, and that's really it. And I socially distance with the soccer team. Plus, we did not train indoors at all. It was always outdoors. And I'm one of those people who believe the outdoor aspect of this whole COVID thing is really the saving grace. Like, that's why the summer was so low. That's why this summer will be, between that and the vaccines, be why we probably get rid of it for the most part. But, tired. But yeah, so I was sitting there and I was like kind of in my head, like, just how bad it is. Like, if I did have COVID, right? If I did have COVID, then immediately I have to quarantine for my family. We have to basically disinfect the entire house. I saw the soccer team on Saturday for a scrimmage. I probably would have to notify them. Obviously, I couldn't go to band practice. I had other appointments that I had to cancel. I actually canceled all my other appointments for the week because I can't be out of the house. I can't drive. I can barely stand, and like until I start eating again and getting myself back together. Like my point is, I couldn't even get out to get a test. Like I would have to go get a test, but I really didn't want to go get a test. But even if I did get a test, like what's that going to mean? Like I can't do all these things, and I would have in fact put at risk all of these other people And then it was like, plus it's a really serious virus. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could seriously, like, with some of the lung stuff that happens with this thing, like, it could end my career. It could end my career as a singer like that. I don't know, many of you could argue, but, like, how much of a career of a singer? But, you know what I mean? Like, and I got to tell you, it was a little scary. And I have not been scared of the COVID experience per se. I've been scared about, like, what it does to people, and I'm worried for people, and I'm worried about what it could do for me lung-wise, but, like, I was a little scared that this shit was going down. And what was funny about that realization was that I cannot believe that some people still aren't. And I see it all the time. I see it in, pictures and social media and stuff like that, where people just hanging out, no masks. And I understand, like, if you're hanging out, like, in small groups or whatever, but, like, if you're hanging out in different small groups every day, you know what I mean? Like, that's still adding up. Like, okay, like, if you sleep with one person, but you at a time, like, good for you. But if you sleep with a different one person every day, like, you're going to be like a whore or a slut or whatever the words are, like, whatever, guy whore, guy slut, like, and that's gross. Right? And that's cumulative. And that's kind of like what I'm saying. Like, don't, like, just because you're hanging out with, like, one person, it's cumulative, right? If you're hanging out, like, you're just playing roulette. And I don't understand. And I realize this is a really crappy top 20 topic, and I'm sorry. Like, I'm really just kind of babbling my way through 20 minutes, I might add. Good for me. Although I did start late, so I do understand. But I don't understand why people aren't worried about that. Everybody that I've talked to that has had it said it really kicks their ass. Like, it really messes them up. I haven't gotten any confirmation of anybody with any long haul kind of symptoms and stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff kind of shows up a little bit later, and maybe it doesn't affect people the same. Like, it seems to be like the more in shape you are, the easier you are to just sort of repel this and reject this. And it's, my number one reason for trying to get back into shape. I mean, I was really actively getting back on the treadmill and lifting weights and stuff after a year of making excuses about why I can't go to the gym and stuff like that. I am starting to do the work, and then, of course, I decided to eat a poison Oreo and then basically nearly die. So I was trying to go on the treadmill, but I decided it'd be easier just for me to throw up my spleen, pancreas, and intestines and lose weight that way. But I will let you know if that continues to work. And, all right. Well, look, it seems like the chat would like to talk about weed. So what I'm going to do, I know, what a spread. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play some music. I'm going to get my bearings here, and then we'll talk about other stuff. I'm sorry if this top 20 sucked. It might be the first time. I think we all know it won't be the last time. But regardless, I've got some music, and I've got the entire rest of the box for you. Unless I die first. But, like, let's hope not. That's bad, right? I couldn't even cross my own fingers. That's got to be bad.